Dark Matter. The Cost of Being Unseen. This book introduces the emotional and social consequences of domestic discrimination. The pain of exclusion, disguised as normal family life. The foreword serves as both confession and call to action, blending personal truth with social awareness. Chapter 1. The Hidden War at Home. Defines domestic discrimination as a silent human rights crisis. Shows how stigma, exclusion, and conditional love within families lead to social alienation, mental illness, and systemic inequality. Sets the thematic foundation of the book. Chapter 2. The Myth of Family Safety. Challenges the idea that family is automatically safe. Uses personal insight and sociological examples to show how well-intentioned families often perpetuate cycles of emotional harm through silence, shame, and control. Chapter 3. The Birth of Psychological Atrophy. Explores how emotional neglect rewires the brain, leading to what this book refers to as psychological atrophy, a loss of emotional muscle from disuse. Blends neuroscience, psychology, and memoir to make the invisible visible. Chapter 4. The Anatomy of Domestic Discrimination. Dissects the hidden systems of control and punishment that perpetuate exclusion, including double-binding punishment for doing right or wrong. Connects these micro-dynamics to macro-social consequences. Chapter 5. The Science of Disuse. Explains how chronic loneliness and social neglect alter neural structure. Introduces research on neuroplasticity to show how recovery can be scientifically measured and sustained. Chapter 5.1. Psilocybin and the Neurobiology of Repair. This optional appendix explores credible emerging research on psychedelics as catalysts for neuroplastic healing. Connects these studies to psychological atrophy as potential tools for emotional reconditioning. Chapter 6. The Emotional Economy of Exile. Links private neglect to public crisis. Showing how emotional scarcity drives poverty, addiction, crime, and corruption. Argues that moral and economic systems mirror the empathy health of their families. Chapter 7. Psychological Malnutrition. Reframes mental health as emotional nutrition. Introduces the 5 emotional nutrients model. Explaining how chronic absence of validation, presence, communication, affection, and play leads to emotional undernourishment. Chapter 8. The Reconditioning Process. This process explores a practical, step-by-step, recovery model inspired by physical therapy. Demonstrating how emotional healing requires safety, small consistent action, repetition, and relational accountability. Chapter 9. The Architecture of Recovery Communities. Shows how families, workplaces, and societies can be redesigned as healing systems. Details the 5 pillars of healing environments: safety, transparency, participation, accountability, and meaning. Chapter 10. Belonging as Medicine. Describes belonging as a biological and cultural antidote to disconnection. Combining neuroscience, psychology, and moral philosophy to prove that inclusion is measurable, powerful, and necessary for civilization's survival. Chapter 11. From Trauma to Culture. Explores how individual recovery becomes generational legacy, demonstrates how storytelling, transparency, and truth-telling turn pain into policy and trauma into culture. Chapter 12. A Future Worth Belonging to. Concludes with a vision of a world where empathy, belonging, and accountability form the infrastructure of justice, economy, and governance. Blends realism with optimism, showing that humanity's next evolution is emotional. Epilogue. Turning the page together. This book closes by addressing the reader directly, inviting families, communities, and institutions to commit to shared reconditioning. Healing is no longer an individual act, it is a civic responsibility. Chapter 1. The Hidden War at Home. The hardest wars are the ones fought in silence. No armies. No flags.